Okay, in this question we are asked to find the area generated by revolving the curve y equals the square root of x on the interval 3/4 to 15/4 about the x-axis. Okay, the first thing we do here is to draw a quick picture to get a sense of what we're actually doing here. Okay, we have the square root of x is a function that looks like this. So we're doing it from 3/4 to 15/4, so that's up to about 4 1/4, and so we're looking at this part of the curve here, and we're rotating this around the x-axis, and this is going to produce a surface. Okay, the surface area is going to be given by the integral from a to b of 2 pi, and since it's around the x-axis, y, the square root of 1 plus dy on dx squared with respect to x. Okay, so that's our formula. Right, so step one here is we need to find dy on dx. Now, of course, dy on dx is going to be d on dx of the square root of x, which of course is d on dx of x to the half, which will be a half x to the negative a half, which will be 1 over 2 square root x. Right, next we need dy on dx squared. Okay, so that'll be 1 over 2 square root x squared, which will be 1 over 4x. Right, so we have the dy on dx squared part. So we now look at the area. Surface area is going to be from 3/4 to 15/4 by 2 pi by y. Now, of course, y is the square root of x. And then we have the square root of 1 plus dy on dx squared, which is 1 on 4x with respect to x. Alright, so make sure you follow that. We've substituted here 1 on 4x. And here's y, which is the square root of x. Alright, so now we've got to look at ways to see if we can solve this. Okay, so here's our integral. Alright, the surface area is equal to the 3/4 to 15/4 and 2 pi square root of x by 1 plus 1 on 4x dx. So this will become, let's pull the 2 pi out, so this will be 3/4, 15/4 here. Now what we can do is we could put everything into the square root, so we could have x in here by 1 plus 1 on 4x dx. Okay, by bringing the square root of x inside this square root sign. So this will become 2 pi integral of 3/4, 15/4. And what are we going to have here if I do this? This will be x plus 1/4 dx. Okay. Alright, so this will be in fact 2 pi integral of 3/4 to 15/4 by x plus 1/4 to the half dx. And when we integrate this, we're going to have x plus 1/4 to the 3/4, sorry, 3 halves I should say, 3 halves divided by 3 halves, and we're going to evaluate that from 3/4 to 15/4. Okay, so this becomes 2 on 3, so we can bring that out the front, by 15/4 plus 1/4 to the 3 halves minus 3/4 plus 1/4, like so, and that of course be the 3/2 as well. And this now becomes 2/3 by, let's have a look, 15/4 plus 1/4 will be of course 16/4, that's 4 to the 3 on 2, minus 3/4 plus 1/4 is of course 1, so this is 1 to the 3/2. So we end up with now 4 to the 3/2 will be, the square root of 4 is 2, so this will be 2/3 by 2 cubed is 8 minus 1. So we end up with, as our surface area, as being 2/3 by 7, which is 14/3.